Erik Buffalo Logan. Erik Buffalo
Buffalo
gone. Erik Buffalo gone. How's that?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, this was a wildfire of a story, I will say.
I have not felt that much adrenaline pulsing through my veins in a very long time.
Crazy town is what that was. Where were you? Everybody's going to know. It's going to be like, where were you when JFK was shot? Where were you when you heard Logan was fired? Where were you, David Lee Scales?
Publishing yesterday's podcast. So you and I had just gotten done recording. I had spent an hour or two in post-production, and I was sitting at my desk pushing publish when you sent me the news. And it was like, first of all, can we validate this? Is this accurate? Is this true? And of course, the press release was direct from the WSL, so it was absolutely true. My next thought was, can you and I jump back on the mics and like give a little addendum maybe at the beginning of the show to break the news, because we were just a day late. I mean, you know what I mean? So ultimately what we decided was we don't have any information yet. And so let's kind of let it simmer overnight, and then we can regroup right now, the next morning, and break the news, essentially.
Yep.
But I was at the desk. Where were you?
I was on movie set.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was just kicking the dust around, and then who was my first text from? Let me see. Let me go grab my phone real quick.
Go grab it. And Ryan Miller just texted me right now, and he said, I can't wait for the next 3-hour-long podcast. I mean, but in terms of blowing up, yes. Like my phone for the rest of the night was just notification after notification.
I have never had so many texts in my... Oh, who did I get it from? I really hate the way texts work these days. It doesn't sort it right.
Well, while you're looking for that, I screenshotted the Surfer Magazine news story on their website, their own version of a press release, and posted it in the stories on Surf Splendor on Instagram just to kind of get the news out there as quickly as possible.
Yep.
And our beloved Vaughn Deadly messaged me, and he goes, my favorite part about this story is that Surfer Magazine was the one to break the news.
Surfer Magazine, I mean, here's the thing with Surfer Magazine, though, is they just have, like, weird robots. I mean, it's just like a disgusting factory there now, and so they just have people, like, ding, 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 on the feed.
Wrong. I mean, you're right in general, but that story was Xander Morton.
Oh, yeah, but, I mean, that's who... So they would have had somebody, though, like one of their... I'm sure they have... I feel they have, like, Indian, tech people... like online all day just watching and then writing poorly, but then also when something like this kicks, I think then they know instantly and kick it to somebody who can actually maybe write. Xander, what a traitor. Xander's a real traitor.
Well, I mean, the truth is the WSL sent out a press release, and so he was one of the few people who still reads the WSL press releases, and so he received it and repurposed it real quickly.
Yeah.
So what is the news, by the way? We need to reveal the news.
So the news, for those who don't know, is that Erik Logan, CEO of the World Surf League, was, and when I use the word unceremoniously, this is the dictionary definition of unceremoniously fired, or relieved of duty last night at roughly probably 3:30 p.m. Western Standard Time.
Which would be, he was in Brazil. Obviously, it's mid-event right now in Rio, and they've had 5 or 6 lay days in a row. They're just running competition again today. So on the final lay day, right before they run competition, super early in the morning Brazil time. I mean, it would have been 3 or 4 in the morning Brazil time is when the news broke.
Yeah, that's when you're right. No, it wouldn't. It was 3 p.m. here, so it would have been 10 or 11
late
Brazil
night.
time.
Late night? Okay, so real quick, from their own press release, today the WSL announced that CEO Erik Logan has departed the company effective immediately. As the WSL begins the process of identifying a new CEO, Emily Hoffer, WSL's Chief People and Purpose Officer, and Bob Kane, Chief Operating Officer and Chief Legal Officer, will jointly lead the company and continue to drive the WSL's mission to showcase the world's best surfers on the world's best waves as the global home of competitive surfing.
Epic.
That paragraph alone indicates how inept that company is. The fact that they have a chief people and purpose officer, what is that?
It's laughable. I mean, I think that the whole thing is laughable. It's so utterly laughable. Again, what have we been talking about here, David Lee Scales? The show is the show. I was talking to somebody yesterday. I can't remember. Fielding many calls yesterday. Oh, I got the news from Derek. Derek hit me up. Elo's fired. And then I like quick. And then I was like, what? And got no news back from him because he was busy like typing up his piece. But anyway, in any case, what was I going to say? Chief people and purpose.
Yes.
I was talking to, I think it was Matt Warshaw yesterday. I can't remember exactly who, but was saying pro surfing now, who cares, right? This has been true for a long time. The product they put out is so bad in the water, and this is precisely what our show is about every day. The show is the World Surf League itself. That's what we can look. I can get my surfing elsewhere, right? They are not putting the best surfers in the best waves. That is, again, it is a house full of lies and misrepresentations and silliness. It's not what they do. So I don't care about their product. I don't need to watch their surfing, right? I'll watch it when it serves me. I'll watch it when it's interesting, whatever, right? The funniest thing that's happening, the most interesting thing, the HBO show that we get treated with is the show of the World Surf League itself, and who could, again, how much joy and entertainment did yesterday bring everyone? Like a plot twist that, of course, it's like a soap opera. You see this plot twist coming, but then it happens, and it's like, oh, it like fulfills all your hopes and desires for what that plot twist was going to be.
Well, what's crazy is I was talking yesterday about being apathetic about the WSL at this point. Like they've earned my apathy. You know, we've spent 4 years really poking and like making fun and laughing and all that sort of stuff. But at this point, it's actually not even interesting anymore. Until yesterday's news broke, and I realized I felt as though a dictator had been overthrown.
Yeah.
You know, but strangely, even better than that, because I don't care about politics as much as I care about surfing, actually. and I had sadly accepted apathy and just accepted what it was, and were like, you know what, I don't really need professional surfing. I'm happy without it. I can get my surfing elsewhere, whatever. It doesn't affect my life surfing. I can still go to the beach, blah, blah, blah. And then yesterday I realized how much I actually do care. Yesterday I just thought, why do I have adrenaline coursing through my veins? Why am I happy to see somebody lose their job?
Yeah.
Because that's not like that's not a humane way to feel, right?
No.
But I'm happy that somebody lost their job. I can say firstly, for anybody who thinks that's crass, Erik Logan is totally fine. From everybody I know who works with him, runs in his circles, is personal friends with, everybody's like, dude, he doesn't need to work anymore. He's totally fine. He's earned enough. He's got enough assets. He married well enough, by the way, and divorced well enough to where he's totally fine. So don't worry about Erik Logan. But what he did do in this role was totally bastardize what we love near and dear, and then point the finger of blame at us along the way while we kind of held up a mirror and just go, hey guys, you're getting it wrong. Like, look, you're doing the wrong thing here. Here's a bunch of information and reasons why. And they would get pissed at us, vilify us, and ultimately try to write us off. And we're like, no, we're your core fans. We want you to earn money. The only way you're going to achieve the elusive audience that you're looking for is to put the best surfers in the world and the best waves in the world. That's the unlock. That is the UFC having heavyweights slug it out. So let's go ahead and do that. And they go, F you. Quit making fun of us, quit criticizing us. You have no idea what you're talking about. And we're going, no, you guys are losing money every year. Like tens of millions of dollars every year. You're getting it wrong. We're like, here's the only way to get it right. And then they make fun of us some more and tell us to shut up. And so that's why at that point you go, this guy's a dictator. He needs to go.
So here we go though. Like how much, we've been telling, like, now I can kind of read these WSL tea leaves, right? Like, we've been telegraphing this for a while, that Erik's out the door. You know, if not today, than tomorrow, right? I don't know how many other, I mean, maybe everybody else, right, has been
No,
seeing. Are we the?
nobody's been saying it publicly though.
Oh, well, we do here.
We
Like,
do. Yeah, we're
I
the
mean,
only
yeah.
ones.
Okay, so then, I mean, maybe that's why when it actually happens, then I think, but it wasn't that hard. It's not that hard to figure out that this was coming down, right? This is this house of cards. But again, so now we got, and let's first, can we, without information, speculate
Yes.
wildly on his
Yes.
demise? Okay, so
Absolutely. We have to. That's what people rely on us for, is pure speculation with
okay,
no
so
information.
so here we go, right here. You ready?
Yes.
I'm going to present you with the facts as they are.
You got his firing right, because you called that about 3 weeks ago after the Surf Ranch kerfuffle. We've been kind of pointing to it for a long time, but you actually called it. So
Yeah.
so you are Nostradamus, and this could be number two that you get right.
Okay, so he was not. This is clearly not a mutual parting of the ways. The terseness of the press release, what it said, and how it was delivered, means he did something bad, probably, or there was something bad that happened.
In addition to those things that you mentioned, it was delivered right before a holiday weekend
Yep.
on, late in the afternoon. So this is teed up by legal. Like, this is a strategy of legal to have somebody not go postal basically on the weekend or the day of.
And
And
or
he's in Brazil at the event, and it's mid-event, as opposed to Sophie Goldschmidt leaving in between the seasons.
totally, like, so this was something that happened mid-event. It happened like they knew this was like even the worst PR person would know this is a bad look, right? And so, but it was something that needed to happen. Furthermore, as the wonderful Gen C pointed out, who's taking over CEO? We have the chief people and purpose officer, which is essentially HR.
Correct.
And we have chief legal. HR and legal, as Gen C put it, major cleanup on aisle 7. Like
Major.
so something bad went down in Brazil that needed to be dealt with immediately. Now, I'm not going to speculate on what that bad thing was, but something happened in Brazil, because otherwise, if this was something that was brewing, if there was going to be a leadership change, if there was, whatever, that would have happened either after the event if it was serious, or at the end of the season if it was pretty serious, right?
Yes.
Happening mid-event means really, really serious. You don't do that we've been thinking about this for a while, and we've just finally decided that this is the right time.
Right.
That is the right time for nothing, right? So something happened.
So-
he was fired for cause. I'm going to speculate wildly. Like, it's not just that he was doing bad at his job.
Correct. And so he's been doing bad at his job for a long time now, and
Yeah.
had not been fired or reprimanded, presumably. But the things that you're kind of alluding to, he's also been doing publicly, some of them. Like Felipe Toledo, take off your shirt. Him going selfie mode with tours around the contest site, giving behind the scenes peeks at all this kind of stuff. That really is a gray area where the WSL is not asking him to do that, and he's showcasing kind of the inner workings of his role and what the business is. And I don't know if the brand wants you to do that necessarily, right? And it's not a flattering look for him. It's not a flattering look for the brand. So I could see the buttoned up corporate execs kind of looking side-eyed at that stuff. And then it would make sense that there could be something else that you're kind of alluding to that would be a misstep that's just a step beyond that, essentially.
Okay, but let me put out a couple more scenarios here.
Okay.
Power struggle. There was no mention of Jesse Miley Dyer. Ostensibly his number 2. I don't know where in the corporate rankings she is, but Jesse Miley Dyer is also the public face of surfing, right? You got Elo and JMD. Did she stab him in the back? Did she create a scenario that,
Succession.
Yeah, exactly. Did she plot and make something happen? So there's one thing. Second thing, what if Elo, doing his best, trying his hardest, got so fed up with other leadership at the WSL that he said, I'm out. Like, you guys deal with this yourself. I am finished. I've been trying. I've been putting on a happy face. I've spackled the wall of positive noise every day. I am finished with you guys. I'm done. And then they
That's
say, fine.
It's an interesting scenario because so many other people have actually come to that conclusion.
Precisely. A bunch of people. Like I've heard so many people of like, this is an inept organization. And so we blamed Elo for being inept. But what if Elo was not in fact inept? What if Elo was he was looking inept because he's trying the best he can in an inept organization and finally had enough, finally said, I quit. Those are the two. So it's either those are the only two scenarios: is he did something really bad, or he quit.
Well, the third scenario is Jesse stabbed him in the back.
Jesse stabbed him in the back, but Jesse stabbed him in the back then she would have to make him look like he did something really bad.
Right.
Like,
so the other scenario that you present of could he have been fed up and left? A bunch of other people have, but when the other and is the organization inept or is it the leadership that's inept? And everybody else who's left, who's given us information and told us about the organization, basically says, look, it's Dirk and Natasha who have these kind of ideologies that they want to implement through the World Surf League as the microphone. And Erik Logan is his job as CEO is to implement those things. And then to shout down anybody who gives blowback about those things, whether it's the surfers rep or the athletes themselves or the podcast community or fans on Instagram. Just shout them down. We know what we want to deliver, and if they don't like it, they've got nowhere else to go. So just shout them down, essentially. And Erik Logan is smart and savvy and a nice, charismatic person, so he's kind of the perfect person for the job, right? He can take all the flack and deflect it. So did he get tired of doing that thing? You know, being the last man standing who's taking all the flack. For a while, you could point to the commissioner and let the commissioner take the flack for making the bad calls and all that sort of stuff. So there is some credence to that version of the story.
Well, and again, it's not like the WSL was going swimmingly with like one successful CEO after another, right? Erik Logan did not create this WSL. The WSL has been a clown show since 2015 when they rebranded, or whenever they rebranded, when Dirk got it and they rebranded as the WSL circa 1976. The thing has been a joke from the beginning, right? And so I think blame falls on Dirk and Natasha, right? Like they are the people making this thing a clown show. And so bunch of people have left, there's been one embarrassment after another. They have never righted the ship. So again, to blame Elo was just a soldier and now more battlefield fodder.
No,
he's
I would say there's more. I would say there's more there though. Like, Sophie was a soldier. Who was after Sophie? Or was Erik?
Yeah, Erik was after Sophie. It was Paul Speaker. Okay. There's been 3 CEOs: Speaker, Soph, and
those two,
Erik.
Speaker and Soph, were both soldiers. Erik was, yes, a soldier, but also trying really hard and self-promoting all of it. So he took millions of dollars, started WSL Studio, failed at it completely.
Badly.
So Sophie taking her paycheck and implementing kind of what was always in place, that's a fail. You know, she's just a soldier. She didn't have a huge failure. There's nothing you could point out with Sophie that was like she had an idea and she failed at an idea. She was just following the protocol. Erik came in, shifted the protocol, came in with vision, terrible vision, and said, give me additional millions and millions of dollars, and then completely squandered it and failed at each of those things that he tried to implement. So and by the way, like I said, went selfie mode on Instagram, promoting all of it. And then when it failed, not even acknowledging any of that, just redirecting and being like, yeah, but did you see the deal we did with Apple? And look, we got a new thing over here. And then that thing fails, and he doesn't look at that dumpster fire. He then goes to, oh, well, no, I'm doing this other thing over here. So I think as the money behind the project, the actual owners, they're going, dude, you are a walking disaster, and you're making it you're making these publicity stunts that are embarrassing. These things are totally embarrassing. And then when you're on Instagram telling Felipe Toledo to take off his shirt, it feels like you're actually you're using our money to do all this to build your Instagram profile and get likes from people. And they're all commenting about how much of a joke you are and you've turned our organization into. And so now you're going to shut off your comments because you can't even handle the feedback that you're getting. Like, this has to stop.
Here's the thing with the WSL, though, pivoting lightly now. The wall of positive noise is built. They're clearly, I mean, I didn't watch the start of the broadcast this morning, but I can't imagine they dealt with they mentioned even anything about it.
I've got people messaging me who are watching it because I'm not watching it either, and they said there's no mention of the Erik Logan firing.
And so, and this is not just like a, it would be like if, who's the head of the NFL, whatever his name is, Roger Goodell, major figure. If Roger Goodell was fired before a game in the NFL, the announcers would have to talk about it because they would know this is major news, and to ignore it, the WSL's head in the sand thing is so ludicrous, absolutely ludicrous. Their disdain for their own audience is so obvious. That's why it's fun to poke at for me, because I want to be a fan, man. I want to like the product.
Yeah.
Just treat me like a person. Treat me like I have a brain in my head. You don't have to tell me everything. I don't need to know the ingredients. I don't need to know the secret in the secret sauce, right? Just treat me like I have an IQ above 23 and we'd be cool. If they would have got on this morning and said, we had major news break yesterday, big organizational shakeup. Erik Logan, our CEO, is now not with the company anymore. We have replacements, and that's it for now. We'll bring more news when it's appropriate. I would say thank you. Thank you for treating me like a person. The WSL, though, for those who think, woohoo, core surfing won because Erik Logan is gone, I will say totally. Core surfing won because Erik Logan's gone, and let's keep going, right? Let's keep holding them to accountability. They don't want us as an audience. They're trying to grow it elsewhere. They're trying to get, however they're trying to grow it. We are your only audience. And so we will take down the next CEO too, if they're not going to be honest. I will come eventually, and we will take down you, Dirk Ziff, a billionaire who, and to me, this is I love in this day and age, a David and Goliath story, where we, as the grumpy, core, silly surf fan, can hold a billionaire's feet to the fire, right? And eventually, what's going to happen, though? He's going to dump this whole thing. He's over it. It's got to be over it by now. This is way more headache than it's worth. It's tarnishing his personal reputation now, having surfing. And so he is going to sell to the highest bidder as soon as he can.
He's already been trying.
Yeah,
he's already been trying. So,
but he's actually going to now. I think it's not worth it to him.
Totally, you could just dump it. At this point, just take the highest bid, no matter how low it is.
Yeah.
But so the question is, can we right the ship, or can Dirk, with a new CEO, right the ship? And let's play in that for a minute. Who would be your ideal fit for that role if they were to do things, correctly?
I mean, I think you'd have to get like a Devin Howard, right? Somebody who has a good reputation with the surfers, who has vision, who would be able to say, okay, look, we need to reimagine this whole thing. We need to be honest with our consumer first. We need to know who our consumer is, and let's not actually treat them like consumers, right? I don't think the NBA or the NFL or the UFC or anything treats their fans like consumers. They treat them like fans, right? They give them a product that they like.
Yeah.
They try to tweak it to make it more enjoyable, like baseball changing the rules this year, right? They're always working on trying to make it more enjoyable. I think the WSL somehow tries to make it more profitable or saleable or something, right? But it's not fan first. And not that the NFL and NBA aren't trying to make a profit, but they're wildly profitable because they give the fan what they want.
Yeah.
And it'd be something like that, but they're going to have to strip this whole thing down. I mean, really, truly, after CEO joke number 3, and again, I will say Sophie was kind of a joke in terms of she didn't do anything bad, but she's also gone into US ski and snowboard and really messed up there too. Like she's like a competent whatever CEO, whatever that is, chief executive officer. But it's like rotten hire after rotten hire after rottenest hire with Elo. And where do you go from that?
So I'll throw out some names. I like Devin Howard, but I'll throw out some names and you give me your thoughts on him. Kelly Slater. He's effectively didn't make the cut. He effectively could retire and he could transition straight into running the tour.
I mean, he would be the worst, I think. Like Kelly's, it's like Michael Jordan owning the Charlotte Hornets, right? Michael Jordan was one of the worst NBA owners probably in history. Kelly would be the worst. He would make bad decisions, weird decisions. He wouldn't be trying to make bad decisions and weird decisions. Kelly knows how to do one thing, and that's surf professionally.
I like turtles.
Kelly would be talking about moon phases and turtle sandals, and he'd remove all the vowels from World Surf League, so it'd just be like World.
Kelly would be the worst. Kelly literally knows how to do one thing. Yeah.
Okay, one or another one. Ace Buchan.
Ace would be okay. Ace would be okay, but I think Ace would be good. But they would literally have to give Ace, honest to goodness, power to change the thing. Like they'd have to say, okay, what do we need?
I like Ace Buchan as the tour commissioner, but not as the CEO.
Yeah, I mean,
okay. Let's move on. Bob Hurley.
Bob Hurley would be great.
Bob Hurley as CEO of the WSL makes a lot of sense.
Yep, that makes a ton of sense. Look, because he would be. I couldn't get on air and make fun of Bob Hurley.
No, I mean Bob is. I mean his track record is undeniable, right? In terms of having tremendous vision and executing a vision.
Yep.
His work ethic, no question about that. His charisma and ability to kind of rally a team, no question about that. Most important detail, all the names that I mentioned are all surfers. Yep. Bob Hurley is a core surfer who understands. I mean, he's a shaper first, and then a core surfer and a shaper, and then a CEO, and built one of the biggest brands in the quickest fashion that we've seen in the surf world. And, sold it and did the whole thing. So I think, and he's in a stage in his life where I think he doesn't need the job, which is great. He could just come in and really just execute a vision. And I think it's something that somebody like Dirk, he can manage what Dirk's interests are and needs are in terms of that ideology and massage it into a good product and still deliver for everybody. He could deliver what Dirk wants and deliver what we want, and then also run a profitable business.
I will stop coming for Dirk Ziff. Ziff, you hear me? I'm your little Prigozhin running up from Ukraine with my Wagner troops. I will stop coming for Dirk if Bob Hurley is CEO.
Evan Slater.
Perfect. Evan would be so good.
Evan would be phenomenal, right?
Evan would be epic.
I know.
So, I mean, these are good. See, there's people out there. Yeah. And I would if they did that, if the WSL did that, I would say, oh, you understand. You finally, after 3 failed attempts, you understand. Let's rally the core around now to make this thing work, right? Let's all figure it out together because we like this thing. We want this thing. You've only made it a laughing stock, but now it's not a laughing stock anymore. It's something we want.
Yeah.
Simple.
I see this as I was excited about the news yesterday because the dictator had left the building, but I'm also equally as excited about what can become in the future. The one problem I have is that I don't feel confident that the 2 interim CEOs that they're having in the position see it the same way that we see it and would fill the role with the people that we just mentioned. I think I'm not confident in their I don't know, guidance or vision.
No, definitely not. I mean, initially, I think, to Gen C's point, it's going to be clean up on aisle 7. Whatever happened, whether it was Elo being pushed or Elo jumping, but overnight, I mean, whatever serious thing that was is going to have to get cleaned up, and it's going to be, knowing the WSL and the wall of positive noise, all hands on deck to make sure no truth or whisper leaks out of what this seismic event was, what actually caused this, right? So it's going to be initially that, cleaning all that up, and then it's going to be appointing some kook again.
Well, are they going to silkscrreen the wrong names on jersey as effectively as Elo did?
I don't think so. I think
misspell Kanoa Igarashi's name.
And this was, I got like 4 minutes.
Okay, cool.
This was my first piece about it, poorly written from set on the phone. But the sentiment rang true, is we will not see a clown, a jester like Elo. I don't know how you get funnier than Erik Logan. And I mean that with sincere respect for the comical job that he did. Every bit of it, from the start to the end, is the funniest moment surfing has ever had, and I will miss it. I will miss every day almost was a new twist of absurdity that I could not. WSL's tagline, "You can't script this." You could script all of the pro stuff. You could not script Erik Logan's comedy. I could not, like if somebody would have said, okay, what's Erik Logan going to do today? A, put a chest tattoo of Felipe Toledo on and go up to Felipe and tell him to take his shirt off. I would say no. And I was going to do that. That's like the funniest thing I've ever heard. And then he does that. Like, time and time again.
And the next day, he's going to plug his nose as he's dismounting off of a wave.
I mean, that was
Wouldn't have guessed that
hilarious.
one either. Entirely different than the Felipe thing. Wouldn't have guessed it. Equally as funny.
Coming in as a sup enthusiast who only posted massive sup photos. Remember? He stopped doing that. He's transitioned to a surfer. But early Elo of just hardcore supping with his, and then posting like his sup quiver always. I mean, I remember, and here's the thing, people like, I had a whatever, like I said at the end of it, I'll, figure out the next CEO too. Like, we'll have fun, right? I think it's undeniable the fun we had at and with Erik Logan, right? I mean, mostly at Erik
Great
Logan.
laughs along the way.
Great laughs along the way. And people continue to go back to that first, when you and I met him and think we rolled over, right?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, totally.
You talked to him and you rolled over. You guys, blah, 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 blah. I will say to them, to all those people, hindsight is always 20/20. Looking back, sure, it was a clown car. I didn't know what he was then. Like, he was just a bubbly weirdo, right? But it might have all worked.
We were trying to be nice. Look, we were making fun of him at the time, and then when we recorded a podcast with him, we were trying to be nice, and so we had no idea how diabolical he was. Otherwise, we would have held him to account for those strategies. We just had no idea we were trying to be nice.
Those strategies were not. And I will, again, whoever the new CEO is, I will give them the same benefit of the doubt. I will, if they do kooky stuff, I will make fun of it. Do you think we're going to be let into the room of the, again?
No. It depends. Again, it depends. Is it Bob Hurley? Then yeah, we would be let into that room because we respect him.
Yeah.
We treat him with respect.
I mean, that's the thing. This is though, as I see it playing out, either aside from the most likely scenario that Ziff is dumping this thing. Ziff is dumping it as quick and painlessly as he can. Anyone who wants it can have it. You give me $3 and pay rent at the Santa Monica studio or office, and we're good. Aside from that, though, this is war between a fan base and an organization, and we'll either win or the organization is certainly not winning. We actually care more than him, so we will win no matter what.
Yeah, the organization isn't winning fiscally, and they're not winning with their fans. And interestingly, in the last 24 hours, we've seen so many professional surfers speak up and finally voice their opinions that reflect our exact sentiments that we've been saying for years. Jeremy Flores said, finally, I'll start watching again. Kaloe and Dino had a lot to say about it, but all in the same vein that we're talking about. So they've been silent for the exact reason that Bethany Hamilton is, she got silenced essentially and effectively canceled. So many people have been silent along the way because they don't want to lose their job. They're finally all able to speak out now, which is wonderful to see. and I think the full consensus is in. There's not a single voice that is disappointed in this news. So, today to celebrate.
I'm sad. We should, though,
you're
also,
sad to not be able to laugh.
Yeah, we should have a moment of silence of thank you, Elo, for the laughs. They were epic. They were really, and again, this season, and by season, Erik Logan's reign from, I think it was 2020 came in, however long he was CEO.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So long, Erik Logan.
So long. Goodbye, horses. Goodbye, Erik Buffalogan. It was wonderful. Thank you. Buffalo gone. Didn't make the mid-year cut. Banished. Maybe we'll give him a wild card. Maybe we'll give him a wild card to come back onto the podcast. A podcast wild card. Come and do a exit interview.
Once the dust settles, I'm fully reaching back out to him, and we'll try to bring him back on the show.
Man, that would be incredible.
It would be
that would
so
be the
good.
Ultimate gift. All right, everybody. This was your bonus episode. We'll be back next week with an all-new episode.